Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 19th episode of Three Life Changing Tips from Highly Effective People. And today we have Larissa, all the way from Seattle, USA. Welcome, Larissa, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited.
I'm also excited. It's really going to be a fun show. We will learn a lot. Larissa is a marketing expert and public relations expert. And we will know about her story. Actually, she has German roots, but she cannot speak German. We will talk about that also. And she will tell the audience that yes, German is a difficult language. So, Larissa, can you introduce yourself to our audience?
My name is Larissa Long. I'm currently a marketing director for an arena and a virtual program across the USA. And then I also have had my own business for about 8 years doing public relations for smaller companies, typically startups, and help
Mhm.
them get some press and exposure for themselves. And
Yes.
then I'm also
So,
a mother of three teenagers, so that takes over my entire life, let's be
yeah,
honest.
that's really great. That's really great. And a lot of startups need marketing strategy, branding. We will talk about that in the second part of the show. So, without wasting the time, we will go to the tip number one from Larissa. Yes. So, Larissa, tell us about your tip number one.
My first tip is dress for the job you want, not the job you have. I am very, very guilty of not following this during COVID.
Hmm.
We've gotten all in the habit of being more casual, which I do. I live in t-shirt and sweatpants every day of my life, and I have found the more I dress up and put myself in a place of business, the better I even feel about myself. It's not even
Okay.
as much about impressing other people, but making myself feel good and making myself feel accomplished. And the more accomplished I feel, the better that I do.
That's also really interesting. But so it does mean about the clothing and the outlook, you mean, right?
Correct, correct. Yeah, dress like, you know, um, the more effort I'm going to put into myself, because I found myself, during COVID working from home, every day, and I got really comfortable, and then you know, you start to feel depressed because you don't have that motivation anymore. And
Hmm.
literally just getting up and getting dressed in work clothes made all the difference.
Yes. So that's a really nice tip. Thank you. And let's move to tip number two.
Don't be afraid to hear no, because then you'll never hear yes. And this is my favorite. You might hear 100 no's before you hear a yes, but you'll never hear yes if you're afraid. And I feel like most of my accomplishment has been because I've just been willing to put myself out there and not worry about hearing no. It doesn't bother me anymore. I mean, sometimes I can't lie. Sometimes it bothers me, but for the most part, I'm willing to just put myself out there.
Yeah, I think that's also a wonderful tip because failures or rejections, if they are there, then we enjoy the success also.
Oh, that's a great point that adds to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. So let's move to tip number three.
Be honest and kind. And the reason why I put those together is I think people feel like they have to say things that people want to hear instead of saying what they want. And at the same time, being honest can come off harsh in some places. So it's learning how to be honest while being kind and making people feel welcome and important to what you're saying. And so I think the key to honesty is kindness.
Mhm. Yes. Okay. True. That's also a wonderful tip. So, guys, these were the three tips. At the end of the show, we will do the summary of them. But now we have to lot of things to talk about with Larissa. Actually, so she has German roots. She don't speak German. She has done a lot of things in the life. She is a public relations expert, marketing expert. She helped the startups, and that is also really interesting these days. The startup scenario is growing in COVID. Everything is changing, so we need marketing, branding. So we will talk about that also. And she is also mother of three teenagers. So first, we will talk about your journey a little bit. So how do you like to introduce yourself, or what have you achieved in your life?
I kind of started out working in government. I actually worked for my state, Washington's House of Representatives, really young, and told myself that I was going to be governor one day, and put myself out there and started working in government. And although I really enjoyed it, I found that the aspect of the jobs that I had in government was the marketing aspect
Okay.
and
Hmm.
the public relation aspect. And
Hmm.
so I basically decided to head down that route, and I went back to school later in life. I got married really young, had kids young, and then decided that I wanted to be in PR. I went back to school and kind of headed down that road. I just like people. I like connecting people. I think that's my greatest skill, and that's really what I think makes
Hmm.
success in public
Yes.
relations.
So when we talk about public relations, you said you help the politicians, but later on you also help the startups grow. So these kind of job is like a fixed job, or it's like a more like a freelancer kind of job.
Yeah, it was very freelance. At first, it wasn't. At first, I actually worked for the state, and then I worked for a few municipalities. So I worked for a couple cities. Um, but then I decided to do freelance work, and I worked on some political campaigns, and I enjoyed that. American
Hmm.
politics can get really messy. um, German politics too. I know you guys had quite a year yourself last year. So, but
Yes.
it definitely is something I enjoy. But I found that I would prefer to keep that more as a hobby, the political side. And so now I focus more on helping startups because I feel like helping someone who's at the beginning, to help them grow is such a great feeling. It's such a great way
Yes. Hmm. So helping other to grow. So we will talk about that, helping startups, how you do. But before that, we will talk about the other aspect. And many of our viewers who are women and maybe like you. So you said you got married early, you had three kids early, and it's a big responsibility, and it's not possible to work full time. But then there are options to work as a freelancer, part-time basis. But it's a really a big challenge. So what are your tips to the young moms so about their career?
I would say it can be stressful, but if you look at the opportunity sometime as your I don't want to say escape because it's not what it is, but more of your time. It's if you look at the work that you're doing as your time. When you're a mom, you become so focused on your kids that you forget about yourself. And when you have this job, you have something that is yours, something that
Hmm.
belongs to you, something that makes you feel good. And as long as you don't let it overwhelm you and overtake you, you know, it's very possible to do both. I mean, my kids are older now, so now I do work full time, um, but they can take care of themselves. They don't need me like they did when they were younger. And
Hmm.
I did find that if I just looked at it as a way to improve myself and make it separate from my family, then I was able to accomplish both.
So that is good. That a good balance was there. That's really interesting. So let's talk about. You said you try to help the startups to grow. So startups are in the phase where they need marketing, they need branding, they need public relations. So how do you help the startups to grow?
Well, I think every type of business is different. I've worked with real estate. I've worked with authors. I've worked with tech companies. My favorite is working in fashion. I
Hmm.
love working with fashion lines and startups that way. I through that I was able to start a magazine and use my magazine as a marketing tool for designers, and I have worked with designers all over the world, which has been amazing. Um,
Hmm.
and I would say that the tip for when you're a startup and getting your marketing going is, as I said before, don't be afraid to hear no. You really have to put yourself out there. It is, as we say in the United States all the time, is it's a hustle. You have to just constantly work at it. When you're new, you have to realize that you're trying to compete with
Hmm.
bigger brands. So you
Yeah.
really have to do more than they do.
Yes, and that's how you can make your presence felt. So, what are normally the biggest mistakes that startups or founders normally do, in your opinion or in your experience, what you have seen?
I feel the biggest thing some of them feel competitive to, instead of looking at how they could collaborate with other businesses or how they
Hmm.
can get along, it almost becomes a competitive thing. I have found that, and I have found that the businesses that feel threatened by people that do what they do are the ones that are less successful. If you look
Mhm.
at what other people are doing, you should look at what is working for them, what is making them successful, and try to find ways to do it yourself. You know, not copy them at all, but in a way that you look at, oh wow, they were able to accomplish this. How were they able to do that? They're
Hmm.
far more successful.
I think that's really good tip, and that leads to innovation actually, because in one of our show, a guest came and he said there is finite leadership and infinite leadership. Finite leadership is that you look at the others and feel the threat of competition, and you try to make them, feel go down and try to overcome them or be better than them. But infinite leadership is that you all collaborate and go search for endless possibilities, because humankind is always evolving and going forward and forward. That's really nice tip. Okay, so let's do a little bit of change of topic. So we are in Germany, and most of our viewers are also expats in Germany, and we have a big problem in learning German language, and we say that German language is very difficult. And Larissa, her parents are German; they have German roots. She is in USA and she can't speak German, and she tried learning German language also, but she found it very difficult. So tell us about this. German is difficult language, huh?
Oh my gosh, it's I still have family in Germany. So some of them don't speak English at all, and they'll come visit, and I can't speak with them. I can understand words here and there, but um, it is there's so many aspects to the German language that us lazy Americans are having a hard time with.
So you are an American now, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. I'm born and raised in Washington State, and but I look
So
at
did
some
you
of my
did you try
humans.
learning these articles? This there the das these
Oh
articles,
my
German articles.
gosh, yeah. I don't understand that. I don't know why all my words have to be gendered. I don't. I don't know why. I have to know what my car is. I remember a pen is there. That's what I remember. Very few, but yeah, some key
Yes.
phrases.
Yeah, so we were talking about the three tips, and we will do a short summary and then ask Larissa to give some tip for the startup. So, tip number one, Larissa said, maybe Larissa, you can say in your words.
Yeah, dress for the job you want. If you're looking to be in real estate, you look at the other people in real estate, they're going to be dressed really nice. You know, if you want to have a gym, you should be in gym clothes working out all the time. It's,
Hmm.
making sure that you present yourself the way that everyone else in your industry.
Yes. So, dress according to the occasion and you feel the way. Yes.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to hear no, or you'll never hear yes. I can't say that enough. It's my favorite tip. I said it to my son last night. If you don't put yourself out there, the answer will always be no.
Mhm.
And then be honest and be kind. Honesty is very important, especially if you want to make it further. You have to communicate, but also be kind in how you communicate with people.
Yes. So, we'll talk a little bit more about public relations. So, for normal people who don't know, what is public relations actually?
Public relations is, I always call it free marketing. That's what I call it. I mean, I know that's not the definition, but it's using any tool to market your business that is earned. It's earned media, it's earned placement in places, everything from press to connections and collaborations. Um, you know, there's so many different ways that you can connect with the public, and
Mhm.
PR is a way to do that without spending money.
Yeah, I think we really enjoyed it. So we got the three wonderful tips from Larissa. We talked about the German language. We also talked about she balancing the career, being a mom of three kids, and we talked a little bit about her political interests. Also, it was wonderful to have you here. And before signing off, I will ask you to give some tip for young people, especially in the time of COVID, when some people are losing hope, but actually there are new opportunities also. But if somebody is feeling down, how will you? what will you suggest? Because you also have teenager kids. So what will be your tip for the youth?
I would say for youth, find something that interests you and be passionate about it. Right now, there's ways to be passionate about everything. Like my son, for example, he's in college and he runs. And during COVID, that was a lot more difficult for him, and he still found a way to do it. And it's not letting this stop you, because even at home you can do anything. It's
Mhm.
just about being innovative, as you mentioned earlier. Just find ways to do things. I work in an arena that hasn't had a show in a year, and we
Mm,
figured out a way to get it out to the public anyway. It's just
yes.
finding ways to do your passion.
Yes. So, guys, keep finding the new ways, keep being innovative. Hopefully, good times will come soon, and make use of this time. And hold on, hold on. Soon, good time will come. Thank you very much, Larissa. It was a pleasure to have you here, and thank you very much for all the viewers who keep joining and keep showing interest in our show. Next Friday, we will come with next episode. Thank you very much. Bye bye.